Ladies and gentlemen, here is your Rod Squad exclusive. In this video, I'm going to show you the statement that the Small Business Administration Press Office just released to me regarding the disbursement of the remaining and outstanding economic injury disaster loan advances. Just ensure you watch this video until the end because I'm going to show you how to contact your congressional representatives in the event you run into a snag in processing of your EIDL grants, and what you need to tell them to prove that by them helping you get your economic injury disaster loan advance through congressional inquiry or by replenishing funds through an act of Congress for the EIDL advances, that you will make the strongest contribution towards this country's economic recovery. First off, roll back. Just bear with me while I put everything into context. Roll back to July 11th. On Saturday, most of you know that the Small Business Administration released an announcement declaring that they've concluded the Economic Injury Disaster Loan Advance Program. Javita Carranza's taking a victory lap, basically telling you that they're not going to give you any more money, that they've disbursed advances to 6 million businesses employing 30.5 million people. Nobody was happy with that news, because they've exhausted the $20 billion that Congress appropriated for the program. Then, a couple of videos back, I told you that the Small Business Administration Press Office, the press director, Carol Wilkerson, wrote to me stating that if your economic injury disaster loan advance applications was processed before the conclusion, before they ran out of funds, then you would still receive the economic injury disaster loan advance. And some SBA employees actually told me that the Small Business Administration was performing a, quote, reconsolidation of hundreds of thousands of economic injury disaster loan advances, and they would be dispersing funds between Monday and Wednesday and Thursday. And many of you in the comment section of this video, Jason M's video, and a number of people reporting developments in the Economic Injury Disaster Loan Advance Program have stated that you have received your funds, you've been approved, but some of you have basically stated that you applied before the cutoff date and you haven't been able to receive your economic injury disaster loan as yet. On a previous video, I also reported that the press office, the press director, Carol Wilkerson, told me that the disbursement of economic injury disaster loan advances was concluded. They're not disbursing anymore. Now, yesterday, I actually followed up with her after she sent that statement to me, and I asked her when was the last economic injury disaster loan advance disbursed. Here's what she wrote back. I don't have that information available. Please note that it can take 1 to 2 days for funds to appear in the borrower's account. So, although they stopped disbursing funds on Wednesday or Thursday of this week, the disbursements are already made. It may take 1 to 2 days after that. So, potentially, we may find that people are reporting that they are receiving their economic injury disaster loan advance through today and Monday and perhaps early next week. Nonetheless, if by early next week, or even now if you want to communicate this, you have run into a snag in processing, you've potentially applied, even if you've applied, let's say in March and April, I'm getting all kinds of horror stories of people applying months ago and they still haven't received word of this. Go ahead and visit the following website, govtrack.us/congress/members/map. You go ahead and type in your address in the field provided and click the button that's labeled Find My District. The web page will populate the search results with the contact information for all your congressional representatives, your 2 U.S. senators, and your congressperson that represents your district in the House of Representatives. Now, what do you need to tell them? All right, here's where it gets good. This is the artillery that you need, because first off, just to give you a note about me. When I was an employee, I've been able to land 6-figure jobs, not by telling them how much I need the job and how much I need the paycheck, but by how much I can contribute to an organization's bottom line. So you have to have that mindset in place when you communicate to your congressional representatives, to public officials. How can you contribute towards this country's economic recovery. I'm about to tell you. Unemployment rate went from, you heard all the good news already, and you see the victory laps that the Trump administration has been performing and the rest of these public officials. Unemployment rate went from 14.7% to 13.3% to 11.1% in the month of June. That's dating back to March. Big drop. And they're talking about, wow, we've added a record number of jobs. Nonetheless, the unemployment rate is still up from 3.5%, that historic low that we didn't enjoy in decades. 3.5% to 11.1%. So things are still bad. Nonetheless, they are improving. Bear with me while I continue. Stick to it. Just keep watching the video because it's going to get even better. Retail sales were up by 18.2% in the month of May. Last month, they were up by 7.5%. More improvements, right? Yeah. We're going to have an awesome 2021 and we're going to have the best economy ever. That's what you keep on hearing. Nonetheless, between the period of April 2020 and June 2020, retail sales are actually down by 8.1% from the same period last year. In 2019, when we, quote, enjoyed the best economy ever. So we still have some ways to go. We have a lot of improvements. Now, here's where the argument gets good, because you see all these improvements and sometimes you probably read about these improvements and hear about them and like, why am I one payable away from being on the street where all of these organizations where they're reporting all of these great numbers? Why am I not taking part in all of these improvements? The chairman of the Federal Reserve, Jerome Powell, probably the top economist in the country, he stated that all of these upticks in economic indicators were due to support for the unemployed through the $600 bonuses that the federal government is funding for people on unemployment insurance. Remember, there are 17.4 million people on unemployment insurance at this particular point in time, and many of them are making more money than they did on their jobs, which just opens up a whole new can of worms because wages are too low, period. Stimulus checks and support for small businesses through the Paycheck Protection Program loan, and of course programs such as the Economic Injury Disaster Loan Advance. So this stimulus package mandated through the CARES Act has basically contributed to all these upticks in the economy, including the monetary policy, everything that the Fed has done to buy back corporate bonds and such. It's none so. They don't talk about this much. The only word of more funding for the Economic Injury Disaster Loan came from the HEROES Act. They appropriated in that proposal $10 billion for economic injury disaster loans. And you always hear the administration talking about the great success of the Paycheck Protection Program. Nonetheless, you look up tweets, you look up President Donald Trump's tweets, and you query economic injury disaster loan, he doesn't mention it once. Doesn't mention it once. We're like the forgotten stepchild, people in receipt of that. And some people, they benefit more from the Economic Injury Disaster Loan Advance Program than from the Paycheck Protection Program. So we need this form of stimulus through the Economic Injury Disaster Loan. And it is critical for us to get it. Why? Let me just give you a few more stats. According to the Small Business Administration, there are 29.6 million small businesses in this country. We're 30 million strong, baby. We make up 99.9% of all U.S. businesses. We employ a whopping 57.9 million U.S. workers. That's 47.8, basically half of the U.S. workforce. Our hearts pump greenbacks, baby. We are the lifeline. We are this country's economy's arteries, ladies and gentlemen. And some people are reporting, you're writing in your comment section that, in your comment section, it's because it's yours, that senators and congressional representatives have the gall to tell you that they're not going to help you with your economic injury disaster loan advance, yet they will help you with a loan that you do have to pay back. Are you kidding me? They're telling that to you, the lifeblood of this country's economy? They have the gall to do that? Your employees, the people that employ you, so you demand, telling them that if you want this economic recovery to be the strongest ever, because that's what we need right now, they will do everything that it takes, either through congressional inquiry. I know a number of them, their hands are tied. They tell you they can't do anything with economic injury disaster loan advance because the funds have been exhausted. Then you tell them to go ahead and work. Ask them, what are you doing to ensure that this fund gets replenished? Throw 10 billion, throw 20 billion. Listen, the Federal Reserve is setting aside over $2 trillion to buy corporate bonds, government bonds. They've listed 800 companies that they're already helping out, buying out their debts. McDonald's, AT&T, Apple, Daimler Chrysler, all these, quote, iconic names. These people have incredible, massive access to capital we haven't even heard of. They get the best rates. I was reading one time when rates were like 5%, they're getting capital costs of capital at like around 1% and 2%. So right now with rates as low as they are, they're probably getting 0%, rates in decimal points at this particular point in time. While we get cold calls with offers for capital and nothing less than 12%. So they have incredible access to capital, yet they're getting bailed out. They've already put billions of dollars towards bailing these organizations out to keep markets up. While Congress, lawmakers, they're rolling the dice while we have the looming expiration to unemployment insurance. You see how Jerome Powell stated that all these upticks, all these improvements are coming through support for the unemployed. Yet it expires. The $600 bonus expires on July 31st in a couple of weeks, days, ladies and gentlemen. The income of 17.4 million people on unemployment insurance will be slashed by more than half for many. What is that going to do? So they're rolling the dice. They're playing with it. And not only gambling with your livelihood, but gambling with this economy's recovering. Gambling with their own portfolios, ladies and gentlemen. Because what are they going to do if this economy crashes again? We see a W, and it doesn't come back to life before the elections. What kind of argument are they going to make? What kind of portfolio can they showcase when they go speak on the stump and state, we are on the right track, we're going to have an explosive 21? You're going to call them out on that. You're going to be like, come on, man, you didn't do anything for us. You let us out to dry. And you see it in the markets. You see it in the markets. I think this is going to be the first week that the NASDAQ is going to show a loss in a couple of weeks. You see it in the market. You had the airlines leading the stock market the other day, which is bonkers because these people are begging for billions of dollars to keep people employed. American Airlines furloughing over 25,000 people. United Airlines talking about they're going to lay off 36 million and they're lobbying for $32 billion. They already got $30 billion. They want $30 billion more, ladies and gentlemen. And these people were leading the stock market. So you know things are upside down right now. You don't know what's going to happen. We may be facing another crash. And these senators have the gall to say they're not going to help you with the money you need to stay afloat to ensure that this economy survives. This is probably the biggest health and economic crisis that the globe has ever faced. Just remember this. It was July 4th the other day. According to the Declaration of Independence, our maker, our creator, endowed us with certain inalienable rights: life, liberty, the pursuit of happiness. And if a government that we empower, that we put in office, stops us from attaining those rights, we have a right to alter or abolish that government through the voting process, by continuing to spread this word to ensure our safety and our happiness. So let everybody know. If you need to share this video or go ahead and write notes and tell them how all these economic improvements, although slight and we still have a long way to go, are coming due to the stimulus package, and they have to do more of it to ensure that you contribute towards the economic recovery of this country. Because you do it. They don't do it. You do it. They act like you're bosses. They manipulate everything for their own benefit. but they're not. They are your employees, so you demand it, ladies and gentlemen. Demand it. Understand what I'm saying? Let me know what you think. Drop your comments and your feelings in the comment section below. Watch this video right here for more stimulus coverage. Click the like button if you like the video. Click the subscribe button to stay on top of my findings. I will do my best to communicate everything to get these people to realize that they have to give us the support and the artillery we need to save this country, ladies and gentlemen. May God bless each and every one of you. May God bless the United States of America and everybody else on this planet. Talk soon.